If you look for it, every day has cause for celebration. Celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby wedding, life thing. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. And get your favorite drinks delivered today.
Hello. Welcome to Healthy Be Human. My name is Callie. I'm your podcast host, and I'm so excited to have you here today. If it's your first time listening, welcome. If you're back, I'm so excited you're back. I am so excited to just give you guys so many updates and talk about today's topic. We're going to be diving into how to balance work life and your personal and social life. So it's going to be a really fun, educational / hopefully helpful episode today for you. But if you are new to the episode and you've never listened before we get into the topic, we always do a little self check-in. So think of the self check-in as a time to just get grounded, become present with where you are, and then we're going to get right into things. So if you're walking, if you're listening on the way to work, school, or I don't know where you're listening to the episode, wherever you are, I want you to just take a deep breath in through your nose for 4 counts, nice and slow, and just hold this at the top. On your exhale, open your mouth, sigh it out, letting go of any stress, tension, anxiety, just let it go. And now I want you to ask yourself, how am I feeling today? If you're feeling amazing, that's literally the best. If you're feeling not so amazing, don't judge yourself for it. But I want you to ask yourself now, why do I feel how I feel? Maybe something happened in your day. Maybe you just woke up like this. But whatever it is, just thinking about the cause, if there is one. Now ask yourself, what is something I can do to make my day better? Even if you're having the best day ever, what is something you can continue to just create this awesomeness throughout your day? And now I want you to make a promise to yourself and tell yourself the following. I am holding myself accountable to doing, and then fill in the blank with whatever you just said before. Okay, now we're going to get a little bit less deep, and I want you to ask yourself, have I stood up in the past hour? If you haven't stood up, I challenge you right now to stand up, shake out your legs, shake out your arms, and then continue listening to the podcast. Get the blood flowing. And then now ask yourself, have I drank water in the past 30 minutes? If you have not, or even if you have, I want you to just grab water with me right now, and we're all going to drink water in 3, in 2, and let's chug this thing. Oh, amazing. Guys, I've been so dehydrated since coming to Florida. I've been in the sun like 24/7, and so I've been chugging water, and it's literally been clearing up my skin so much. It's insane. Anyway, now asking yourself, what is one goal I have for myself this week? And I want you to dream big. Think big. What is something that you wish you could do and that you're going to challenge yourself to doing this week? Maybe it's going on a big adventure. Maybe it's simply finishing a homework assignment or getting a project turned in at work, or just showing up for yourself on the mat and doing a workout to feel your best. And now, final question is I want you to just ask yourself, what is something that the future me would be proud of that I have accomplished so far? A lot of the times in our lives, we're really hard on the present version of ourselves. And I've asked you questions before, what would the past version of you be proud of? But I want to think future you. A lot of times I look back at younger versions of myself with so much love and just compassion. And I'm so proud of things I've accomplished that in the moment I didn't think were that big of a deal. So just reflecting for a second. All right. And now, last thing is I want you to tell yourself one compliment. What is something that you love about yourself, inside or out? All right. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling present with yourself. Self-check-ins are seriously one of my favorite ways to start the day, or just bring myself back to earth and become grounded if I'm having an anxious or stressful day, or I'm in a funk, whatever it is. Self-check-ins never fail to make me feel good. And so I hope they do. I hope you feel the same. All right, so life update. Last time we chatted, last Wednesday, I literally was going through a quarter life crisis, as I called it. our whole episode was on how to figure out your 20s. And let me tell you, it has been a whirlwind since we last chatted. I have we packed up our apartment, me and my boyfriend, packed it all up from 7:30 p.m. until 4 a.m. in the morning. And then we got on a flight at like 9, I think it was at 10 a.m. out of JFK Airport, flew to Florida, to Miami, drove up to West Palm Beach, and we've just been spending the week in Florida. So basically, long story short is we're moving out of New York City, if you didn't listen to last week's episode, and I was in New York for like 4 or 5 months, I think. It just wasn't for me. And I'm really realizing being in Florida this week, I lived in Florida for 5 years before New York, just for anyone who's curious why Florida. I literally feel like New York City gave me this new appreciation for Florida that I just was not having when I lived here. Like being back, I've been challenging myself to be out of the Airbnb as much as humanly possible. So we've been outside constantly, and it's been such a mood booster, game changer. I just didn't realize how much my soul was craving the ocean and craving sunlight. So it's really cool to have that realization while living in Florida or living in New York City, that I just am a beach gal, and that's fine. And like, it's amazing that I realized that. And sometimes you have to remove yourself from a situation that you're not fully appreciating to realize how good it makes you actually feel. So I don't know. I like to compare it even to long distance relationships. Like when I was long distance with my boyfriend for like 6 months, I really appreciated the quality time that we had together when we'd visit each other. And then now that we live together, sometimes it can get hard to always be appreciating our time together. So I think it's really interesting when it's like when you're apart, they say the heart grows stronger. And I think that's true with even just places you live and things that you take a break from, and then you come back and you have this passion again for it. I had that same thing happen to me with fitness and like with bar and Pilates. I had phases where I'd stop doing those workouts and then miss them and come back to them. So if you've been feeling kind of meh about something, maybe take a breather and then come back in a week or so, a month, and see how you're feeling. But yeah, so that's been really exciting. I tried to snorkel today, and honestly, it was not a vibe. I love snorkeling so much, and it was so funny because the Airbnb that we're staying at has snorkel gear, so we picked it up on the way out of the out of the house today. And when we get to the beach, we try to put it on our face. It's literally for kids. They're kids snorkels. And then we try to get in the water, and the water, it's so funny because it's so bizarre. Like, basically you have the beach, right? But then when you walk in the water, you're expecting it to be shallow for a while, and then it gets steep. But it was like a straight drop off. So we're like walking in the water, and we're trying to get in the water, and there's massive waves everywhere. Finally, we're in the water. It's like in this drop off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all I'm thinking right now is what is below me. It's like, I don't know. I love the ocean so much. I have a healthy respect for sure. So I put my head in the water, and I'm looking around with my snorkel gear on, and it's literally just straight murkiness. And I'm like, I look at my boyfriend, and I'm just like, this is just not it. Like this just is not the smartest thing to do right now, because murky water equals who knows what ocean creature is in there. So it's a healthy fear. And basically, we got out of the water and then just had a relaxing day sitting in the sand after I recorded a bunch of Pilates workouts and content for Sweaty Studio. Guys, beach content is coming your way, and I'm so excited to have just all the tropical vibes back at the studio. I realized I was trying to put myself in this New York City mold that just wasn't me, and I just was not feeling that inspired. And I feel like even after one day of filming beach content, I'm just like, this is it. Like, this is what my vibe is. It feels so good to be back. And anyway, I can't wait for the water to get a little bit clearer. I think it rained a lot, and then that's why it's so murky, but I really want to snorkel, and I want to see what's around me. So fingers crossed that will clear up before we leave Florida, but hopefully we'll be back soon. Hopefully we'll move back. Anyway, that's the life update. I have a Pilates challenge coming very soon, dropping November 1st. It is all about body image, boosting your body image, and I'll have the sign up link in the show notes below so you can sign up for that. And I have a new thing in my studio. I used to offer a 7-day free trial, and now I have a 14-day free trial. So you can try the studio for 2 weeks now before you make that commitment if you love it. And I think you'll love it. So definitely join that. I have 2 tracks of the challenge, one for beginner, one for intermediate/advanced levels. So if you're just starting out your journey and you feel a little bit overwhelmed with the advanced workouts, no worries. I have a track for everybody. Okay, so go check that out before you forget. Show notes, go check it out. One more time, go check it out. Okay, let's get into the topic. So I felt today's topic was very relevant as it's almost November, and I know sometimes as the days feel shorter, it can feel 1,000 times harder to feel motivated and productive and focused. And I want to share some tips and tricks that I have for how to balance your work life/school life with your social and personal life. So a little background on me is I am 23 years old. I graduated college in 2021 from the University of Miami. I was a public relations major and double minor in marketing and entrepreneurship. And I ended up graduating and getting a job for 6 months in consumer tech PR, public relations. And then while I was working there at that company, I was simultaneously working to build my online Pilates studio and app, Sweaty Studio, which I had initially started I'm Sweaty and I Know It as a blog in 2019. And I worked on building the blog/social media for the next, well, it's still being built right now, but it's a continuing growing thing. I've been working on that since 2018, started my online company, quit my corporate job in February of last year, and now I am a full-time podcaster, content creator, and online Pilates studio instructor. And it's literally just been like a whirlwind of things happening. So the reason I'm telling you all that background, also I'm a holistic health coach and certified barre and Pilates instructor. For anyone wondering, I've done a lot of stuff, and I gave you the background because I want to lead into this point that I don't recommend doing. Is I worked 5 jobs at once while being a full-time student. I am someone who loves to work so much. I love to learn, and I also love to have a life. Working 5 jobs is not necessarily the answer to having a life. I felt extremely overwhelmed and had a lot of stress and chaos during that phase, but I did learn a lot about how to balance things. And I want to share some of those tips and tricks with you today that I implement in my day-to-day routine, because a little background on what my day looks like now. Obviously, I work for myself, and that's been like the biggest just blessing to ever come my way. It's been a dream come true, and you guys seriously have made that dream happen, and God has made that dream happen, and I just, wow, it's amazing. Like, I still pinch myself. I'm like, how is this real? But basically, day-to-day looks like this. Being an entrepreneur is not all rainbows and sunshine. I've talked about it 1,000 times. It's still work. It's a lot of work, but the fun part about it is it's work that I'm super passionate about, and it's all about creating stuff, strategizing, and seeing what works, what doesn't work, and just going through waves. But some days look like a very long day while others look like a lot shorter. Today, for example, I woke up at 8 a.m. and I had myself a little morning routine. I make sure I always have a quiet time with God, and I journaled this morning. I'm currently working a lot through just kind of a healing process from being in New York City, and I went through a lot of weird mental health stuff while I was in New York, and currently working through that. So I had my little just reflection moment in the morning, and then after that I played with my dog, and then I made myself some coffee and some athletic greens, and then I went and got an acai bowl, and then I went to the beach and filmed a ton of content for my studio, my TikTok, my Instagram, my Pinterest, my YouTube, like hours of filming content. And I was just looking around and I was like, how is this real? Then after that, I went and explored with my boyfriend around Jupiter area, and then I went on a walk with my friend, and now I'm working some more tonight. So this day is not all, like, the cool thing about being an entrepreneur is that every single day looks so different. And as a result, I never know what's going to fully happen. Sometimes I have a big thing happen with my studio. Maybe there's a tech issue, or maybe I have a really cool opportunity with a brand and I have to work on a contract with them. Or I'm creating a challenge and it's taking a lot of time to create challenges, obviously. So things are always changing, things are always happening. And because I like to be a pretty organized person and I like to have some sort of routine in my life, I've learned to establish, instead of having this routine that happens the same every single day, I've learned how to just block off certain chunks of my day to give myself that sort of routine feel, while also riding the waves of the day, taking what happens and just going with it. And I also make sure I give myself time. So we're going to get into some tips and tricks for this. Tip number 1 is make sure you put yourself at the very first of the day. Something that I've learned time and time again is how the course of your day seriously starts at the beginning. And what I mean by this is, if you wake up in the morning and you immediately grab your phone and you go on your phone and you put your energy from the get-go into looking at other people's lives, the rest of your day will probably feel like you're living in your head a lot, like you're thinking about other people, you're not so much focused on what's in front of you. And when I've spent my days where my phone is not my first thing I pick up, instead I have my morning routine, I'll go read the Bible, my devotional, I'll journal, I'll stay off technology for 30 minutes to an hour in the morning, and I make sure I fill my cup right from the get-go. The rest of my day feels 1,000 times more focused and productive, because it's no longer me working from a cup half filled. I'm working from this cup that was filled from the get-go, and I have a lot more energy to give to other areas of my life. As someone who sensitive to dairy, plant-based milks like almond, oat, coconut, and cashew have been lifesavers for me, especially in my lattes. And you guys know how much I like my oat milk lattes on my hot girl walk. I recently started using almond cow to make homemade plant-based milk, and it's legit my new favorite hobby. Like, catching me in the kitchen making this hours every day if I could, but you don't need hours because it's literally so fast. Almond cow makes it fast, easy, and clean to get your plant-based milk. Plus, the cleanup is just as easy with zero waste, and the milk is affordable and super healthy with no additives, fillers, and questionable ingredients. I've been adding vanilla extract and a little bit of maple syrup to my soaked oats. I press the button and that's it. It's so freaking easy. I can't even begin. For a limited time only, Almond Cow is giving our listeners $25 off on all orders $200 and over. Go to almondcow.co to get started. Again, that's almondcow.co, and use my code Callie at checkout for $25 off.
If you look for it, every day has cause for celebration. Celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby wedding, life thing. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. And get your favorite drinks delivered today.
So that's a really big tip, is make sure you give yourself that nice beginning and that start where it's all focused on you. It's not selfish. It's honestly selfless if I think about it. Because when you're taking care of yourself, you're able to give more to others. And also, making sure you have a nice wind down routine at night. Same thing goes. If I'm working super late and I just immediately shut off my computer, brush my teeth, go to bed, I find my dreams are honestly chaotic and I don't even feel rested in the morning. So what I've been doing is I grab a fiction book at night and I read a fiction book before bed. So my mind completely switches off from my work day, from things I'm worrying about. And it goes into this different world that's not on technology. It's on a book, a physical book. And then I get sleepy and then I fall asleep. So that's been my big routine with just morning and night. I feel like it's so important to have those little chunks of time, and they don't have to be hours long. Like, they can literally be 15 minutes long, 10 minutes long. Make it work for you. Tip number 2 is seriously, time block everything. This is a hack I learned years ago when I first started my blog. I was a full-time student, and honestly, I was so overwhelmed with running a blog, building a website, all that jazz, figuring things out for the first time. It took up so much time, and honestly, it was hard to manage it all. So what I found is this hack that's called time blocking. essentially what time blocking is it's figuring out, okay, writing down first, brain dump everything that you are going to be doing in the day. And then you can organize it by figuring out, okay, these 3 things use creativity. So I'm going to time block this where I work on these 3 things that use the same part of my brain for X amount of time. After that time is over, I'm going to take a 5-minute break, 5-10-minute break. And then I'm going to keep on going until I finish these things without doing anything else, not even worrying about it. And something I learned too is you're maybe like, well, Callie, I'm going to work endlessly if I just work until I finish literally everything. But this is so important, is prioritizing what's the most important. So when you dump down everything on that list, I want you to look at the list and make a category of priorities. Pick the things out that are the most pressing things that have to be done in the day. And then list everything else that follows. So start with those things that have the most priority and try to organize them by whatever part of the brain they're using. Maybe something uses less energy than something else. Put the things that require the most energy from you at the beginning of your day when you start working. And then the things that require the least amount of energy and thought, put them at the end of the day. I know for me, I find myself frequently trying to put like responding to emails, responding to DMs at the beginning of my day, but those things require the least amount of energy from me. So instead, I'll put the most creative stuff like filming a workout class or creating a challenge at the beginning of the day before I've started consuming a lot of content, a lot of messages from people. And then as the day continues on, I'll start to do I'll block the things together that require communication and not as much thought in the same cluster. And this takes me into the 30-minute, 5-minute thing. So I'll put a timer on for 30 minutes. I'll pick 1 or 2 things to work on that use the same part of my brain. I will work on literally nothing else, because if you're like me and your brain is constantly jumping around from one thing to the next and you feel like you're working on 10 different things at once because you're just all over the place, this is the best hack to just reel your mind in, reel your brain in, and keep it going. Okay, so then the timer goes off and you take a 5-minute break. Typically, I try to avoid going on my phone because I feel like it just keeps using more energy. So I'll just stand up, I'll shake out my legs, maybe go do some laundry, maybe go on a quick little walk or do a 5-minute workout, and then continue on to the next thing in my time blocking series. And it is such a game changer. I've been using this hack for years now, and it's helped me get so much stuff done, especially when I was working like 5 jobs. It was insane. All right, my third tip to having productivity is literally such a game changer, you guys. I have already told you 1,000 times how much I love my oat milk lattes, but you guys, if I have more than one, my mind and my body is just like bouncing off the walls in sometimes not the best way ever. I occasionally feel like I literally can't even do the time blocking hack I just told you because my mind is so like it just can't focus on that one thing. And it's really frustrating. I've definitely struggled a lot with it. I've tried different things, like sometimes I've taken Adderall, I've tried espresso shots, I've tried coffee, I've tried deep breaths, all this stuff, and literally it's been such a struggle for me. But I found Magic Mind recently and it's really cool and I had to share this with you guys. So Magic Mind is like this little elixir. It's basically like a juice shot and you throw it back and it makes you more productive and more focused. So what's cool is you actually get more done in less time because there's nootropics in it that improve attention, concentration, and cognition. I know, what? Okay, plus those jitters and anxiety that I was informing you about earlier. Magic Mind does not give you these because it has a compound in it called L-theanine that is found in green tea. And you also have ashwagandha in it, which helps reduce stress levels. Like, it's literally been amazing taking it. I would really encourage you to try it out if you've been feeling like your mind is it's just struggle busting. It's having some struggles with the focus levels recently. And I want to also give you a 20% off code as well. It's healthy20. So if you go to magicmind.co/healthy and enter the code healthy20 at checkout, you have a money back guarantee, which is the best thing ever. And you also, if you get the subscription, they have a subscription, you can get 40% off 40% off. And the code only lasts 10 days, so definitely hurry up and use it. And once again, it is code healthy20. All right, on to tip number 4. Okay, this is a tip that I have really been struggling with, and when I've done it, it's been like makes such a difference in life, and it helps prevent burnout too. And this tip is giving yourself a day of rest. So God created the Sabbath for a reason. And so I found myself struggling to not work 7 days a week. Like I told you before, I am an entrepreneur, so I work for myself. And having a business that I'm so passionate about, it's hard for me to turn off the switch of working. So I find myself frequently going in cycles where I work so hard for 7 days straight, and then I won't take a break, and I'll just keep working and working and working. And then I burn out so aggressively. And it just makes everything suffer. So I recently am trying to give myself a day off where I don't work on my business. I just have a me day. And it's kind of the same thing of giving yourself time to fill your cup. So if you've been struggling with self-care and balancing work and stuff, I would give yourself that Sabbath, just because 1, it's so healthy to take a break. And 2, that's your key right there, to be balanced and have that day where you prioritize yourself and you prioritize doing the things that maybe you weren't able to do when work was getting crazy during the week. So that is something that I've recently implemented and would recommend to literally anyone out there, is take a break. And I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect, but we're trying. Okay. The final tip I wanted to give you is balance. And balance is such a just debated and discussed word, and it's so funny how it's literally one word and everyone has a different meaning behind balance. But something I've really learned, because I've tried so hard to be balanced, where everything is just, my energy is going equally in every single area of my life, and it's so difficult to do this. And I've come to the conclusion that balance does not mean that every single thing is on the same level. I think that life goes in seasons, and some seasons we need more energy in one area of our life. So maybe our social life is needing more energy. So our eggs are more in that basket, which means that the scale is going to be tipped towards social life, and maybe the work life scale is going to be a little bit lower. Vice versa. Sometimes we're in grind seasons of our life where we're just in a work mode and we have a ton of projects and we have to be working at something really hard, like finals week, or when I'm launching a challenge. My eggs are more in my work basket than my social basket. So that pendulum is tipping the other direction. And I think it's just really important to not be hard on yourself if you feel like one area of your life isn't getting quite as much attention during a season of something else. And that is just something that I've really learned to come to terms with. And it makes me have a more healthy relationship towards myself, as well as towards my work and towards my social life and towards my just taking care of myself. So I think it's really important to make sure that you are giving yourself enough of your work, enough of social, enough of your own just self-care, because if you're completely disregarding one of those things in your life, you're probably not going to feel the best, and you might feel like something's really missing. But if you feel like maybe more energy is going into one thing than the others, like, it's just so important to realize that's totally normal, especially during those weeks where things are chaotic. Like, realizing that life is not always going to be consistent straight line. I mean, we have the whole term life flows in waves is there for a reason. I mean, we have moments for everything. And I think the biggest thing in learning how to manage your work and your play is by making sure that your definition of balance does not necessarily mean that everything is perfectly in equilibrium all the time, because it makes you just feel a little bit less stressed. And yeah, I think that's the best way to say it, is just feeling less stressed and feeling more like, oh, it's okay. Like, I'm just human, and we're in a season of work. We're in a season of making new friends. We're in a season of taking care of my own personal self-care goals, and just realizing that none of those things are necessarily bad to have more eggs in your basket for a period of your life. But also just making sure that, like the term, everything is balanced, making sure that you are not completely just putting everything into work and letting your other areas of life just deteriorate. Like, putting enough energy in those other things, but maybe more energy in one thing, if that makes any sense. So, end of the day, like, I went to a college where the running joke was or the college, not a joke. I mean, the college was known for work hard, play hard. When I toured the school, that was what they told me the school was like. And I think I learned how to work hard, play hard at that school. And the play, in quotations, for me was more so taking care of myself and having self-care and stuff. I wasn't the most social person ever, where I didn't go out. I can't even talk right now. I didn't go out every single night. I did go out sometimes, but I definitely am more of a person who likes to have her slow Friday nights in. And I was like that in college too. And so I think I did really learn how to make sure I was taking care of myself while also getting good grades and building my career at the same time. And that honestly all just came down to flowing with life, flowing with the waves, and doing the time blocking hack and all the other hacks that I told you today. Just makes such a big difference when you have a system and when you have some actual techniques in place that are going to put you up for success, instead of just diving into something head first without having any idea of how to manage all the chaos in your life. So I remember when I was starting out my blog in 2019, I listened to Lauren Everett's Skinny Confidential, him and her, I think it was their podcast. It was all about productivity, and it helped me so much. And so if you are building a dream career, or you have big goals, you want to build a business, or whatever it is, I hope this podcast episode helps inspire you and helps your life a little bit in some sort of way, because that episode I listened to in 2019 completely changed the course of how I was managing my workload. And I think like I have one more thing I wanted to share, and I already kind of like talked about it, but brain dumping stuff is so key to success with productivity, focus, all that stuff. I think focus a lot of the times is jeopardized when we have a lot on our mind and a lot of stress and anxiety happening. So whenever I feel anxious and I can't focus on something, I'll literally just grab a piece of paper and write down every single thing that I have on my mind that I need to get done, or that is pressing or whatever. And then I can start looking at things and prioritizing. It's really, a lot of times, things that feel like a big deal are not as big of a deal when you actually do them in reality. And that's something I've learned. So if like you have a project you've been putting off, or you're procrastinating writing a paper or something, it's really important to just tell yourself, like, it maybe feels like a lot, but the first step is not going to take that much effort, as much effort as it feels like in your mind. So breaking things down into steps, not always looking at things as a whole, and it's going to make your life 1,000% less overwhelming. All right, I hope you loved this episode so much. I hope you're feeling a little bit more excited to be productive and to balance your life a little bit better. And yeah, just flow in seasons. Give yourself what you're needing and trust God, and DM me if you ever have any questions or just need to chat. I'm always here for you. My Instagram is I'm sweaty and I know it. And yeah, I'll see you next week. I hope you have the best day. If you're feeling nice, rate this review, rate this podcast, and leave a nice review. And yeah, I will see you next week, my queen. Stay sweaty, keep shining, and being amazing, because you deserve to be amazing. You're so special, so amazing, and I'm so proud of you. All right, bye.